Hey everyone. How much talk there is these days about like market volatility and inflation and stuff.
Yeah,
It's enough to make anyone nervous, especially when you're thinking about retirement, you know?
it really is.
And then on top of all that, we've got like these bank failures happening. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unsettling.
So today we're going to deep dive into gold IRAs to see if they could be a good fit for you.
Yeah, that's a really timely topic for sure.
Yeah.
It is interesting how gold has always had this kind of safe haven reputation.
hmm
And, whenever there's uncertainty in the market, people start looking at it more closely.
Right. Like it's this ancient, reliable thing, you know what I mean? In a world
Yeah.
full of unknowns and stuff.
Absolutely.
So for you, could a gold IRA be one of the tools to navigate these uncertain financial waters and protect your hard-earned savings?
I think for sure it's something to look into.
Let's find out.
Yeah, let's.
So first things first.
Well, first thing to remember, especially as you approach retirement, is that diversification is absolutely key. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Makes sense.
Think of a diversified portfolio as a solid base for your financial future.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So don't put all your trust in just one type of investment.
Right, exactly. And that's where gold can come in.
Okay.
Historically, during economic downturns, gold has acted as a hedge against inflation.
Okay.
It's like an anchor
Mm-hmm.
that helps to stabilize your portfolio when the storms hit.
So it's not about making a quick buck or anything. It's more about like that long-term stability. Like those stories you hear about people like riding out recessions because they had some gold tucked away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For example, the research we've got here mentions a couple, John and Susan,
Okay.
who had some gold in their portfolio.
Okay.
And when the market took a dip, their gold holdings helped them weather the storm and come out on top.
So they were, okay.
Yeah, they did great.
Okay, so gold has this steadying effect we've established that.
Right.
But how does a gold IRA actually work? Is it literally like a mini Fort Knox situation in your basement?
Not quite that dramatic.
Okay.
But the core idea is holding tangible assets.
Mm-hmm.
With the gold IRA, you're investing in physical gold.
Okay.
Coins, bars, bullion.
Uh-huh.
It's real gold you could hold in your hand.
I bet you get a lot of questions about security, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where is all this gold actually kept safe?
That's a crucial question. And security is a big priority with gold IRAs.
Yeah.
Your gold is stored in IRS-approved depositories.
Okay.
These are highly secure facilities,
Mm-hmm.
totally separate from the banking system.
Right.
So they don't carry the same risks as a traditional bank.
So if something happens to my regular bank,
Mm.
my gold is safe and sound somewhere else.
Exactly.
That's reassuring in this day and age. All
Absolutely.
this bank failure stuff.
And these depositories go through rigorous audits.
Okay.
They have multiple layers of security to ensure your gold is protected.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. But let's talk about the advantages of a gold IRA. I
Alright.
know a lot of people are curious about the tax benefits.
The tax advantages are a big draw for many.
Yeah.
Similar to traditional IRAs, with a gold IRA, your investments grow tax deferred.
Oh, okay.
That means you don't pay taxes on any gains until you withdraw the money during retirement.
Gotcha.
It's a great way to let your wealth build over time without losing a chunk of it to taxes every year.
So it's like a bonus for being patient with your investments,
Exactly.
which makes sense for retirement planning.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
there's the whole hedge against inflation thing,
Right,
which has been especially relevant these past few years.
right. Inflation has been a big worry for everyone.
Huge.
Can you break down what that means in like a practical sense for someone considering a gold IRA?
Think of it this way. Inflation eats away at the value of your money over time.
Okay.
What you could buy with $1 today will cost you more tomorrow.
Right.
Gold historically has held its value even during periods of high inflation. So it acts as a buffer,
Mm-hmm.
protecting your savings from losing their real value.
So if things get crazy with the economy and prices start skyrocketing, my gold IRA could help me keep up.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's all about preserving your purchasing power.
Mm-hmm.
This is especially crucial for retirees living on a fixed income,
Right.
since they're the ones who feel the pinch of inflation the most.
Okay, so we've got diversification,
Right.
security,
Yeah.
tax advantages,
Huh?
and protection against inflation.
That's right.
It's starting to sound like a gold IRA is the answer to all our financial worries.
Well,
But I know you're going to bring us back down to earth a little bit
I was going to say,
and talk about the potential drawbacks.
of course, it's important to be realistic
Yeah.
and address the common misconceptions surrounding gold IRAs.
Okay.
First off, they're not risk-free.
Okay.
Gold prices, like any investment, fluctuate.
So it's not a magic get-rich-quick scheme.
Definitely not.
Gotcha.
It's a powerful tool, but like any tool, it needs to be used wisely.
Right, that makes sense.
What other misconceptions are out there that people should be aware of?
Well, another big one is that not all gold IRA companies are created equal.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are some shady operators out there looking to take advantage of people, especially retirees.
Oh, that's concerning. What kind of things should people watch out for?
One common scam is overpricing gold.
Oh,
Some companies will try to sell you gold at inflated prices, which eats into your potential returns.
so always compare prices from different companies before committing to anything.
Absolutely. And another red flag is unlicensed custodians.
Okay.
Remember, with a gold IRA, your gold needs to be held by a legitimate IRS-approved custodian.
Hmm.
If a company tries to push you towards an unlicensed custodian, that's a major warning sign.
So it's not just about choosing gold. It's about choosing the right company to manage it.
Precisely due diligence is
Yeah.
crucial. You need to make sure the company you're dealing with is reputable, transparent,
Hmm.
and has a track record of protecting their clients' assets. Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah.
So we've got to be careful out there.
Right.
But if we find a reputable company, a gold IRA could be a valuable tool for protecting our wealth,
Absolutely.
especially during these uncertain economic times.
I agree. It all comes down to knowledge and careful consideration.
Yeah.
If you do your research and choose wisely, a gold IRA can be a smart addition to your retirement portfolio.
And speaking of choosing wisely, let's move on to some tips for finding a trustworthy gold IRA provider.
Okay?
How do you even begin to sort through all the options out there?
Right. It can feel overwhelming,
Yeah.
but there's some key things to look for.
Okay.
First and foremost, check reviews. See what other customers are saying about the company.
Mm-hmm.
A good reputation is a strong indicator of reliability.
Reviews are always a good starting point.
Yeah, definitely.
What about fees? I know those can really eat into your returns over time.
Absolutely. A trustworthy provider will be upfront about their fees and policies. They should be completely transparent. No hidden costs or surprises. And speaking of transparency, you also want a company with, like, responsive customer support.
Okay.
Someone you can easily reach out to if you have questions or concerns.
Like a partner in your financial journey, someone you can trust to guide you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And lastly, ensure they offer secure storage options.
Okay.
Your gold needs to be held in an IRS-approved depository.
Right.
Don't settle for anything less.
It sounds like finding the right provider is just as important as choosing to invest in gold in the first place.
Absolutely. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
Now, before we dive into some specific questions you might have,
Okay.
I want to touch on something that really stood out to me from the research.
Okay. What's that?
The psychological aspect.
Okay.
It seems like a major driving force for people considering gold IRAs is this desire for peace of mind,
Right.
especially given the current economic climate.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've seen some unsettling things happening lately.
Absolutely.
Bank failures, market volatility. It's enough to make anyone question where their money is safest.
Right. And gold, being a tangible asset,
Yeah.
offers a sense of security that you just don't get with a stock or a bond. It's something concrete,
Right.
something with intrinsic value that transcends the fluctuations of the financial system.
It's interesting you say that. It reminds me of something I read about, the history of gold.
Yeah?
For centuries, it's been this symbol of stability,
Mm-hmm.
a store of value that people have turned to in times of crisis.
Exactly. It's a fascinating historical parallel.
Right.
And the research even mentions how retirees who diversified with gold just felt this sense of relief,
Okay.
knowing they had something tangible backing their savings.
It's like having a safety net,
Right.
a little piece of reassurance
Yeah.
in uncertain times.
Exactly.
But let's get back to the practicalities for a moment.
Okay.
We talked about custodians and depositories. But what happens if a custodian goes bankrupt? Is the gold just gone?
That's a great question and a common concern. But here's the good news. Your gold is stored in an IRS-approved depository,
Okay.
meaning it's insured
Okay.
and remains secure even if the custodian experiences financial difficulties.
So it's like a double layer of protection.
Yes.
The custodian manages the paperwork,
Right.
but the gold itself is held in a separate, super secure facility.
Precisely. And it brings us to the broader topic of financial institution risk.
Okay.
We saw with those recent bank failures how quickly things can unravel.
Sorry, it was a scary time for a lot of people.
It was.
And that's where having some assets outside the traditional banking system can
Yeah.
be so valuable.
Exactly. A gold IRA with its gold held securely in a separate depository,
Mm-hmm.
provides an extra layer of protection against the potential fight out of a banking crisis.
So in a way, it's like taking back some control. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, and relying solely on the stability of a single financial institution.
I think control is a great word to describe it. You're
Mhm.
diversifying your risk and creating a backup plan for your savings.
It's like having a plan B
Right.
for your retirement funds.
Exactly.
That's smart.
Mm.
Speaking of real life scenarios,
Yeah.
those case studies we mentioned earlier
Right.
really illustrate this point.
Absolutely. Remember John, the finance guy?
Yeah.
He did a good job diversifying.
Mm-hmm.
But even he was caught off guard by the severity of that market downturn a few years back.
Right. He was saying how his traditional investments took a hit,
Yeah.
but thankfully he had allocated a portion of his IRA to gold.
Exactly. And that's what helped him stay afloat while his other investments were losing value.
Yeah.
His gold holdings held steady, even appreciated in value.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, it worked out for him.
It's like having an anchor that prevents you from drifting too far off course
Right.
during a storm.
Exactly.
What about Susan, the retiree from California?
Oh, yeah. Susan?
Didn't she also benefit from having a gold IRA?
Yes. Susan lived in a region that experienced a major bank failure,
Oh, wow.
and she was understandably worried about the safety of her savings.
And I can only imagine.
So she decided to diversify with the gold IRA.
Okay.
And it gave her such a sense of security, knowing that her gold was held outside the traditional banking system.
Mm-hmm.
Even if her bank had gone under her sake, gold would remain safe.
That peace of mind is priceless,
You can't put a value on that?
especially when facing something as unsettling as a bank collapse.
Absolutely. These stories and countless others highlight how gold, especially within a gold IRA, can provide that sense of stability and protection
Right.
during turbulent times.
Okay, so we've talked about diversification,
Yep.
the security of depositories, and the
Mhm.
potential benefits of gold as a hedge against inflation
Right.
and economic uncertainty.
Absolutely.
But I want to shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and address something that I think is particularly relevant
Oh.
for those nearing retirement.
Okay, what's that?
Let's talk about the concept of legacy. Okay.
When you're planning for retirement, you're not just thinking about yourself, right?
Right.
You're also thinking about your loved ones
Mm-hmm.
and the financial security you want to pass down to them.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
A lot of people see their retirement savings as a way to build a legacy
Mhm.
for their children or grandchildren.
Exactly. And gold, with its history as a store of value that has endured for centuries,
Right.
can play a role in that legacy planning.
It's interesting you bring that up.
Yeah.
The research mentions that for some people, owning physical gold through a gold IRA isn't just about financial security.
Okay.
It's also about having something tangible
Mhm.
to pass down to future generations.
It's like handing down a piece of history,
Exactly.
something with a story behind it.
Precisely. And in that sense, it becomes more than just an investment.
Yeah.
It becomes a symbol of resilience,
Okay.
a tangible representation of the values you want to pass on.
That's a powerful idea.
It is.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We have.
But I think for you, the key takeaway is that a gold IRA can be a valuable tool for retirees seeking to protect their wealth, navigate uncertain economic times, and even build a legacy for future generations.
Absolutely.
It's about adding a layer of security and stability to your financial future.
I completely agree.
It's fascinating how a single asset like gold can touch on so many different aspects of financial planning. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I know you probably still have some questions.
Oh, yeah. There's always more to learn about gold IRAs.
So let's tackle some of the most common ones that you get.
Okay, sounds good.
So first up, what types of gold can you actually invest in with a gold IRA? Can you just melt down like your grandma's old jewelry?
Uh-huh. I get that question a lot, and while it would be nice to give those family heirlooms like a new purpose antique jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
usually doesn't meet the IRS purity standards for gold IRAs.
Oh, okay.
You'll want to stick with gold coins, bars, and bullion that meet a very specific fineness requirements.
So it's got to be the real deal.
Yeah, the real deal, officially certified stuff.
Okay, gotcha. So no sentimental gold.
Right, exactly.
Now, another question is about managing the account. Do you need a financial advisor constantly, like, looking over your shoulder?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Some people like that hands-on approach. Others prefer to be more independent.
Right.
The good news is gold IRAs are typically self-directed,
Okay.
meaning you're in the driver's seat when it comes to investment decisions.
Okay.
but you'll still need a custodian
Okay.
to handle the administrative side of things like paperwork and reporting.
So you're calling the shots, but you have a helper for all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Exactly. They handle the boring parts so you can focus on the big picture.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic. Fees. Are there fees associated with gold IRAs?
Right, because nobody likes hidden costs sneaking up on them.
Exactly.
Transparency is key. And yes, there are typical fees associated with gold IRAs.
Okay.
You'll have setup fees, storage fees for keeping your gold secure, and management fees for the custodian services.
So it's important to ask about all those fees up front, compare different providers, make sure you're comfortable with the cost structure.
Couldn't agree more. No surprises when it comes to your finances.
Right, exactly. Now, one last question I often get is, can you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a gold IRA?
That's a really practical question for a lot of people who might already have retirement accounts.
Yeah, can they make the switch?
The good news is, yes, you can roll over an existing IRA or 401k into a gold IRA without incurring any tax penalties.
Okay.
But there are very specific IRS guidelines you need to follow.
Okay.
So it's best to consult with a financial advisor or tax professional to make sure it's done correctly.
So it's doable, but get some expert guidance.
Yes, always good to have a professional weigh in.
Make sure everything is above board.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So we've covered a lot of ground, from the mechanics of gold IRAs to the potential benefits, and even touched on some of the historical significance of gold.
It's been a really interesting conversation, and I hope it's been helpful.
I think so too. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want to leave people with? If you had to distill it all down to like a single thought, what would it be?
I think it comes down to this. In a world where things feel increasingly uncertain, having a tangible asset like gold as part of your retirement portfolio can provide a sense of security and stability.
Okay.
It's not about replacing all your other investments, but about diversifying your risk and having something solid to fall back on if and when you need it.
I like that it's like having a piece of history that also holds its value.
Exactly.
And it leads me to one final question for you. If you could hold a piece of history that also held its value, would you? Something to ponder as you weigh the pros and cons of a gold IRA.
That's a great question.
But ultimately, remember, knowledge is power. You're now equipped with more information to make an informed decision about whether a gold IRA is right for you. And if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out to a trusted financial advisor.
Great advice that can help you navigate the process and create a retirement plan that meets your specific needs and goals.
Awesome. That's it for our deep dive into gold IRAs. Thanks for joining us, and remember to stay curious about your finances.